Hey everyone, it's Ivan, KitBadger.com, here to bring you a little report from Range Day at TriggrCon 2018. What did I end up shooting? First stop was actually over at the FN booth. Ended up shooting the 509 Tactical. Pretty cool little pistol. Basically has suppressor sights, threaded barrel, a bunch of little nuances and stuff to include plates that you can remove, add, take off. And with that, you can obviously have an optic on there. The one I was shooting actually had the Delta Point Pro on it. And the plate that actually covers up that spot, if you're not running an optic, has these little wings that basically protect the rear suppressor sight. Kind of a cool little feature, but overall, cool little pistol. After that, I checked out the full Conceal pistols, basically built off like a Glock 19 frame or Glock 43. And they also had one that was adapted to the Roni, little carbine with the pistol brace, folding stock, all that stuff. Kind of interesting. Basically, the whole pistol folds in half and then you unfold it and you can shoot. So one, it allows you to have more rounds or a larger magazine than you probably would usually carry. In addition to that, you can actually carry with a round in the chamber. And as soon as you fold this thing out, locks in, you can fire it. I will say I ended up having a couple issues with it. Mainly, they were using a couple different frames. The Glock frame worked fine for me. Again, sample size of 1. But the Polymer 80 frame, when I basically clamped down really tight with the heels of my palms, trying to get a good grip, when I did that, it actually disconnected and so it came undone. And I was like, I don't really want to pull the trigger right now. But for whatever reason, I think maybe just the material dimensionally, a little bit, I don't know, a little softer, a little bit more play, and sample size of 1, but that happened to me. On the Glock frame, didn't happen at all. I don't know where that would really fit in as far as something that just folds like that. You could absolutely use it like in a bush plane or like a bug out bag or something like that. Personally, big fan of actual holsters because then it's right there, but it's an option. I also made it by STI. Got to put some rounds through their DVC Omni. Pretty cool. It has their island comp, I believe it's called. Basically, the barrel has a comp machined into it. So rather than having multiple parts, dealing with tolerances, making sure the thing doesn't come loose or anything like that, it's on there. And that thing's really smooth. I never really actually understood the whole like 2011 versus the 1911. And basically, it's kind of a two-part frame to include the grip where they have a different kind of polymer material. And yeah, does an amazing job kind of smoothing out, I guess, the recoil impulse as it's moving through those different materials versus just like a solid framed 1911. Pretty cool pistol though. Over at the SIG booth, I put a couple rounds through their Legion 9mm. Pretty cool, the single action only, and had a Romeo 1 on it as well as their suppressor on it. Pretty cool pistol. In talking with the guys with Q, some of those engineers actually came over from SIG, and with that kind of like, hey, like, what are your take on these different pistols and stuff? And pretty much all of them had, I won't say all of them, some of them had very good things to say with respect to engineering in kind of that line of pistols. Like, there's some really amazing, well-engineered SIG pistols out there, and that thing definitely performed. I also shot the SIG P210, pretty much a work of art. Thing is beautiful, price tag to match. Really smooth though. And also got a little bit of time with the P320 X-Five, which is their kind of competition ready gun. Really pretty nice light trigger, and yeah, kind of all those features. Ergonomics felt really good in the hand, and you can of course throw optics on there, some lightning cuts. Pretty cool little turnkey pistol. While there, I got to shoot SIG 716 with their Sierra 3 optic on there. Basically, it's a 3.5 to 10 variable power scope, and it marries up with the Kilo 1400, I believe it is. And so what you do is they're paired with each other, they're connected, I think Bluetooth, but you end up lasing something, however far it is. And when you're looking through the reticle, pretty much kind of your standard duplex crosshair, but there's a little like amber dot in there. And at range, if you laze something, say 600 yards away, all of a sudden that dot will move down, basically giving you your hold. So pretty much lays, and as far as elevation, you're good to go with respect to the ballistics between the rangefinder and this optic. And windage, you're on your own, but on either side, there's also little amber lights on either side of the crosshair, the far right and left. And so if you're canted at all, either right or left, it'll basically give you corrections until they both disappear, which means you're dead level. Pretty neat. Honestly though, I didn't really like the crosshair, the way it was set up, just in that I didn't feel like it was that refined, which it can't really probably be because you have these little amber dots that basically move up and down, but pretty neat in concept and actually probably save a lot of hunters some bad shots and chasing wounded game, hopefully. Pretty neat offering. When I went by the Vortex booth, I checked out their Razor AMG UH1 holographic sight. What I really wanted to check out though was the host weapon, which was a B&T APC 5.56, little short guy, a pistol brace and suppressor. Never shot one before. Pretty cool, and yeah, thing was actually really smooth. Going by the Master of Arms booth, checked out the Inyo, their lightweight rifle. It's like 3 3/4 pounds, really light. And man, the muzzle brake on that thing. Every time you break a shot, it's like this wave of concussion coming back, like every time. Granted, overhead, we had an overhang, we were in kind of a little shooting bay, but really concussive. Stopping by Noveske, got to shoot the Ghetto Blaster. Cool seeing those design elements come over from Q because they're using the Honey Badger, basically the Honey Badger stock. So really smooth lines on the upper receiver, as well as a Q suppressor. And yeah, that thing shot really smooth. Of course, felt bad for the guy there at Noveske because the booth right next door, I don't know what they were shooting, but they had a horrendous break. And there's an overhang, and he was just getting beat up by concussion pretty much for the entire range day. Spent a little bit of time with the RTS Trigger Shield, exactly what it sounds like. Little kind of spring-loaded clamshell, basically pieces that come down guards over your trigger on an AR platform. And basically trying to minimize the chance of an ND or something, whether your weapon's slung or something along those lines. He's asking me, he's like, what do you think? Like, what do you think about this? I'm like, and he's like, well, no, tell me, what do you think? And I'm like, I think it's a Band-Aid. Basically a Band-Aid for training. But in fairness, I think where it would actually really shine is with law enforcement. Most cops do not train. Frankly, they don't have time. And especially, one, to hopefully minimize the risk of an ND. But on top of that, dealing with basically large groups and stuff, if someone's trying to grab your weapon, like, I can see it actually being valuable there. I also handled and shot the Deadfoot Arms FoldAR, which exactly what it sounds. Basically, it's a folding, basically the stock folds over and then the barrel and handguard comes, and so it folds 3 times. Thing gets really small and then ultimately folds out, kind of has this like cam lock for the rail and the barrel, and it can actually fire without, because of how short the like recoil system is, it can actually fire when the stock's folded, which can be a plus. But yeah, the thing folds down really small. Why or how you would use it, I don't know, but the beauty of this day and age, we have lots of options. There are obviously more vendors out there, but that's what I made it to at the 2018 TriggerCon Range Day. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Sleep out the window.